Oh, that's why. Okay, hey y'all, it's me, Lynn Daniel, coming to you today from the Buddy Zone. The Buddy Zone. Okay, so you all, today I'm gonna come and this is like my third or fourth attempt to film this video, but I keep catching myself making weird expressions and I don't know how to edit them out, so just bear with me. It's late at night and I'm bored, so I came across a cool tag that EJ Kafooples started. She is a teacher in our YouTube teacher community, which I'm a part of here on YouTube. And so this tag is called the Poems tag. And we're sharing our top 5 poems that we enjoy teaching. So I'm going to share with you 5 poems that I have either taught in the past or, you know, they're still a part of my curriculum and I teach them now. Okay, so I made a list of them right here in my little book. So, you know, and some notes. Okay, just to kind of jog my memory. And I am going to begin with one of my favorite poets. Actually, he has roots in St. Louis, my hometown. And his name is Langston Hughes. So Langston Hughes, when he was 18 years old, he wrote a poem called The Negro Speaks of Rivers. And I think this was his first poem, or maybe his first published work. And this poem has been put to music and composed, you know, like there are several different versions of it in the music, in the song style, several compositions or whatever, however you would call it. But it's The Negro Speaks of Rivers, and it's a poem that says, I've known rivers, ancient dusky rivers, ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood and human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo, and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi, and Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans. I think that's right. I kind of messed it up. When Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. And so my personal experience beyond teaching this song or this poem, when I was taking vocal lessons many years ago, this was one of the songs that I learned and performed at the recital. And I was so excited, you know, many years later when I found it as a part of our curriculum resource, and we taught the poem. So that's my first one. The Negro Speaks of Rivers by Langston Hughes. Okay. Now, my second one, and these are not in any order like of importance, they're just like the ones that popped in my head. So the second one is also by Langston Hughes, and this one is Mother to Son. Have you all heard this one? Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It had tacks in it and splinters and boards torn up and places with no carpet on the floor bare. But all the time, eyes have been a-climbing on, reaching landings and turning corners, sometimes going in the dark, where there ain't been no light. So boy, don't you turn back. Don't you sit down on them steps, 'cause you finds it kind of hard. Don't you fall now, for I still going, honey. I still climbing. And life for me ain't been no crystal stair. All right, so I had a copy of that here for me to refer to, because it's been a while since I've taught this one. But you see how this narrates a story, and you can imagine how 7th graders can indulge in this poem. They can understand a parent's point of view. they can understand maybe a adolescent feeling despondent or upset or angry and sitting there pouting, you know, or refusing to do something, maybe even getting in trouble and probably making choices to change his life, and the mother is, or the adult is encouraging him, you know, how to, don't you quit now. And so I have always enjoyed teaching that as a part of the curriculum. And let's see, so that's 2 Langston Hughes. Oh, the third one. Now, this is a poem that I've liked since like high school or college. The Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll. 'Twas brillig, and the slidey toed, the guy and gimble in the wave. All mimsy were the borgos, and moans raft out grave. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bites, claws that catch. Beware the Jubjub bird, and shun the frumious Bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the manxome foe he saw. Then rested he by the tum-tum tree and stood a while in thought. And as he stood, with eyes of flame, the Jabberwock, I done messed it up, but anyway, that's a fun poem to teach, especially when you're teaching parts of speech, when you're teaching EL students, when you're just wanting to have a light and easily accessible poem, because even though it uses nonsense words, students are able to tell you the story because it's a very accessible, easily accessible story, you know what I'm saying? And so you can have students to remove the nonsense words and plug in real English language words and then identify their parts of speech. Or you can have them identify the parts of speech of the nonsense word. This word is being used as an adjective or as a noun like that. So, okay, so The Negro Speaks of Rivers, Mother to Son, The Jabberwocky by Lewis Carroll, The Highwayman by Alfred Noyes. Now this is a poem that I used to teach this poem, let's see, I think I taught it in both 7th and 8th grade. And it's a narrative poem. It narrates a historical fiction story set in the late 1700s in England or Ireland, somewhere in Europe. But the story is a love story. And it's also a story about loyalty, about jealousy and envy, about respect and law and order. It has so many things in there that the students are able to identify and discuss, you know, and talk about, write about, elaborate. And then in this poem, the inn owner's daughter falls in love with the highwayman, and the highwayman is a robber, and she fell in love with him. But there was Tim, the boy who worked in the barn with the straw and the hay, and his hair was moldy, and he wasn't attractive to Bess. I don't even think she paid him any attention. He had a secret crush. He was in love with Bess. And so at the end of the story, something tragic happens, and you know, and the kids, you know, discuss that. And so I was able to find this because the poem is very long. It has like a zillion stanzas in dog numbers and a zillion lines in dog numbers. And so I was able to find the poem in the song version on YouTube. And the students really liked that. I think like they were able to make comparisons or pull out and discuss the poem and make comparisons to what they saw in the video. And so that's a good poem to use when you're teaching form, when you're talking about narrating a story, when you're teaching that narrative, how to write in the narrative genre. And it's also good at, you know, discussing the themes of love and loyalty and that type of thing. And then finally, so we had a lot of Robert Frost poems in our curriculum resources, and there are a lot of them. Generally, Robert Frost would write about life in the rural America, like on a farm, the slow pace of living there, community, and the scenery, the seasons, and just live the life rhythm of living in a slowed down rural community. And many of my students, unless they had lived in a rural community, which some had previous experience with living on a farm or visiting relatives on a farm, a lot of them did not. And so, but since it was a part of the curriculum, you know, it was aligned to the standards and the objectives for the units and all. So you would teach these. And so I came to really appreciate it, because you could do like a compare and contrast to the students' community to the community in the poem. And so A Time to Talk is one of the poems that I really enjoy teaching, because that one seemed to, no matter when we switch curriculum resources, that poem always popped up in the resources. So that's a good one to teach. It talks about, you know, you're out on your land working, and then someone is strolling by. What do? Do you ignore them and continue to work? No, you stop and you take time to talk. And Nothing Gold Can Stay I really like that one, because when I teach the Outsiders novel, that poem is important to the story, The Outsiders. It's important to Ponyboy and Johnny. It's important to the relationship of Ponyboy and Johnny in the story, and Ponyboy and Cherry in the story, talking about, you know, innocence, and no one can stay innocent, and nothing stays golden, nothing stays pure or good or young and youthful, or you know, naive maybe even. So yeah, so these are the poems that I enjoy teaching, guys. So, and I, you know, because they're part of the curriculum, you make the best of them, right? All right, so thank you EJ for putting this together. I'm gonna watch some of the other tags, or the other videos in this tag. Okay, be blessed, y'all. Bye.